Anxiety isn't just a feeling. It's a full body neuro traffic jam. And it's what happens when your brain's alarm system stays switched on, even when nothing's wrong. The result is a mind that spins, a body that won't unclench, and a nervous system that forgets how to rest. At the other end of the spectrum is flow, a state of deep, effortless absorption where chatter fades, focus sharpens, and time loses its edge. Flow and anxiety live on the same neurological pathways, just tuned in opposite directions. When the circuits of attention, safety, and self-regulation line up, flow appears. When they fragment, anxiety takes over. In this video, we'll look at what happens beneath the surface, how flow reduces anxiety through 4 key pathways, and how acupuncture uses those same circuits to restore balance. The goal isn't to romanticize calm, but to understand the science of it, how your nervous system can learn to shift from overdrive to alignment again. Hi, I'm Paul Rooney, licensed and board certified acupuncturist and founder of Neurological Acupuncture of New Hampshire, where I combine the convenience of house calls with the gentle effectiveness of more than 28 years of acupuncture experience. Let's jump in. Anxiety and flow are mirror opposites in brain activity. Anxiety lights up the default mode network, the part of the brain that loops on self-focus, prediction, and worry. It's the mental background noise of what ifs and should haves. Flow, on the other hand, it quiets that network and activates the task positive and salience networks. These are systems built for focus, timing, and real-world engagement. Neuroscientists call this network switching, moving from internal chatter to external connection. When it works, attention locks onto what's happening now. When it fails, the mind replays what already happened or rehearses what might go wrong. In flow, the switching mechanism is seamless. The salience network detects what matters, the executive networks engage, and the default mode regions go quiet. The result is less self-rumination, less self-consciousness, and a calmer baseline of arousal. Acupuncture appears to mimic this same pattern. Imaging studies show that needling specific points can deactivate default mode hubs, especially the medial prefrontal and posterior cingulate cortices, while activating sensory and motor regions tied to body awareness. It's the same neural choreography as flow, less internal noise, more embodied presence. Like static clearing from a radio, both flow and acupuncture let the signal come through cleanly again. The first pathway begins in the vagus nerve, the body's main channel for safety signals. It runs through the brainstem to the heart, the lungs, and the gut, continuously reporting how safe or threatened you are. When vagal tone is high, the system runs smoothly. Heart rate variability is strong, breathing rhythmic, and stress recovery is fast. When vagal tone is low, as in chronic anxiety, the sympathetic system dominates. Heart rate climbs, breath shortens, and the brain mistakes everyday tension for danger. Flow helps reverse this pattern. In flow, the body finds a state of co-activation. Both sympathetic and parasympathetic systems are engaged, but they're balanced. You're alert, but you're not alarmed. Breathing slows and deepens naturally. The heart rhythms become more coherent. Acupuncture accesses this same circuit mechanically. When needles stimulate vagal afferents, especially points that are near the ear, wrist, or lower limbs, the vagus nerve fires upward into the brainstem's nucleus tractus solitarius. That input triggers acetylcholine release through cholinergic anti-inflammatory pathway, lowering inflammatory cytokines while quieting the heart's stress signals. Patients often describe it simply, my breath softened and my pulse slowed. That's what parasympathetic recalibration feels like. The nervous system is remembering how to relax. Flow and acupuncture both achieve this by giving the vagus nerve new information. You're safe now. Like a conductor retuning an orchestra, the vagus restores rhythm to the body that's been playing out of sync. The second pathway sits deeper. It's in the spinal cord and brainstem, where sensory input, pain, and arousal are integrated. In anxiety, this system is hypersensitive. Your locus coeruleus, your brain's norepinephrine hub, it overfires and floods the system with adrenaline. The periductal gray, or PAG, which should gate pain and defensive reflexes, becomes overreactive. The result is constant scanning, tension, and a body that startles easily. Flow dials that activity down to a steady hum. The locus coeruleus operates at an optimal midpoint. Enough norepinephrine for focus, but not enough for panic. The PAG engages descending inhibition that releases endorphins and serotonin into the spinal cord, dampening pain and stabilizing reflexes. That's why athletes in flow often don't feel pain until after the performance. The body is self-moderating its own arousal. Acupuncture interacts with this same circuitry through A delta and C fiber input. Those signals ascend through the dorsal horn and activate the PAG spinal network, leading to the release of beta endorphins, enkephalins, and serotonin. The same descending inhibition that turns pain off also turns the alarm down. It's a physiological reset, shifting the spinal brainstem axis from defensive to regulation. The patient experiences it as a grounded calm. No dizziness, no rush, just ease spreading through the system. Think of it like turning down a bright fluorescent light. The change isn't dramatic, but suddenly the room feels a bit more peaceful. Anxiety doesn't exist only in the mind. It's also an inflammatory state. Stress chemistry pushes cytokines into circulation, signaling the brain that the body is under threat. That amplifies worry, fatigue, and the sense of unease that anxiety rides on. Flow softens that biochemical loop. Because it engages challenge without threat, flow reframes effort as eustress, or also known as productive stress. The hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the HPA, stays stable. Cortisol peaks lower, and the parasympathetic system signals to the immune systems to downshift. Research also suggests that endocannabinoids, like anandamide, a compound that reduces inflammation while enhancing mood and lateral thinking. It's one of the reasons people feel lighter and more flexible, both physically and mentally, after a deep flow experience. Acupuncture operates through similar reflexes. By activating vagal afferents, it triggers the inflammatory reflex, suppressing pro-inflammatory cytokines and increasing interleukin-10, an anti-inflammatory signal. Studies show reduced cortisol and sympathetic tone after treatment, consistent with the systemic downregulation of the stress response. Clinically, patients describe it as a slow clearing, less heaviness in the chest, fewer body aches, a quieter pulse. What they're feeling is the noise of inflammation fading from the neural circuits. Like a storm receding, the clarity that follows it isn't euphoric, it's peaceful, steady, and breathing. The fourth pathway is neurochemical. It's the interplay of dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, GABA, glutamate, substance P, and endorphins that shape mood and focus. In anxiety, these chemicals fall out of balance. Dopamine drops, making action feel unrewarding. Serotonin dips, dulling mood stability. Norepinephrine surges, erratically feeding hypervigilance. GABA tone weakens, so the brain can't inhibit intrusive signals. Flow flips this pattern. The brain releases a distinct cocktail of dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, endorphins, and anandamide in precise ratios that heighten focus while suppressing fear. Dopamine sharpens pattern recognition and motivation. Norepinephrine sustains energy without tipping into panic. Endorphins and anandamide add calm and euphoria, while serotonin restores steadiness, and once the task ends, GABA likely rises too, closing the loop by silencing stray activity in the cortex. That's why people describe flow as calm intensity, a paradoxical combination of drive and peace. Acupuncture engages the same internal pharmacy. Needle input increases serotonin, GABA levels in the brain, releases endorphins, and stabilizes catecholamine output. The result? Less cortisol noise, more coherence between emotion, focus, and bodily state. In practice, patients emerge from a session feeling awake but centered, alert but unpressured. The same qualities that define flow. It's like the difference between static electricity and a steady current. The same energy, but it's organized. Across all four pathways, the pattern repeats. Flow state and acupuncture both teach the nervous system to find coherence instead of chaos. Through the vagal pathway, they stabilize heart rhythm and signal safety. Through the spinal brainstem pathway, they regulate arousal and pain. Through the neuroimmune pathway, in practice, patients emerge from a session feeling awake but centered, alert but unpressured. The same qualities that define flow. It's like the difference between static electricity and a steady current. The same energy, but it's organized. Across all four pathways, the pattern repeats. Flow state and acupuncture both teach the nervous system to find coherence instead of chaos. Through the vagal pathway, they stabilize heart rhythm and signal safety. Through the spinal brainstem pathway, they regulate arousal and pain. Through the neuroimmune pathway, they reduce the body's background inflammation. And through monoaminergic and GABAergic pathway, they recalibrate the brain's chemistry towards clarity and ease. Flow is the internal training ground, the way we practice regulation through engagement. Acupuncture is the external reset, the way to send clear pattern input back into the same circuits that anxiety is distorting. Together, they demonstrate something important. Calm is not passive. It's an active state of coordination, a moment when all four pathways align and the nervous system can finally play in time again. Like a tide meeting the shore, flow and acupuncture converge where the mind and body learn to move as one, each wave smoothing what came before it until the surface settles into a quiet balance. Now, if you'd like to find out if my protocols are a good fit for you, please contact me by email, phone, text, or DM. Links to that and the research I cite in the description below.